And we've made it down to possibly the most iconic site here at Manassas National Battlefield.
Displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the Parks Professor.
Welcome back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the Parks Professor. We are at Manassas National Battlefield. We are in Northern Virginia. We are on kind of the very western fringe of the Washington, D.C. metro area. Today is Friday, November the 1st. These days run together on these long hiking trips. Today's Friday, November the 1st. And the temperature right now is a warm and partly sunny 69 degrees. There were actually two Civil War battles fought here at Manassas. The first one in 1861 was one of the first battles of the Civil War. The second one was in 1862. Those battles, the battles of Manassas, were also known as the battles of Bull Run. Same place and same battles, just different names. There are two main hiking trails here at this battlefield. We're going to hike the First Manassas Trail. The First Manassas Trail is marked in blue blazes, and it does take us around to the main points of interest, the main points of action in the first battle of Manassas. So that is the plan today, the First Manassas Trail. Let's get into it. We're a little over a half hour in now, and we just crossed US 29. That's US 29 right now, right there. There's a lot of traffic. It moves really fast. That's an unmarked crossing, no crosswalk or anything there. So that's a somewhat dangerous crossing, actually. So far, it has been young woods and fields. We have a little ways to go to get to the first site of historical interest, and so we'll keep going. We're just under an hour in now, and we've made it down to possibly the most iconic site here at Manassas National Battlefield. This is the stone bridge over Bull Run. This is where the Battle of First Manassas started and where some of the heaviest fighting occurred. The First Battle of Manassas was one of the first major battles in the Civil War, right after the Battle of Fort Sumter down in South Carolina. And at this point, many people, especially people in the North, were hoping that this would be a short war and they'd get a quick victory. But the scale and the intensity of the fighting that happened here made it clear that this was not going to be a short war. Places like this, I find them very humbling and very inspiring. And they're really important pieces of history. We're going to continue around the First Manassas Trail. It is still marked in blue, and it looks like our next segment is going to go up along Bull Run. I've got the camera zoomed in. I'm talking real quiet. We're hiking along Bull Run. And right down there in the water is a beautiful heron. We'll zoom out. Not only is there interesting history here, there's also interesting wildlife here. Fascinating place here, Manassas National Battlefield Park. We're a little more than 2 hours in now, and we just finished climbing away from Bull Run up to the top of Matthews Hill, which is where we are right now. This is where the Union artillery was stationed for the majority of this battle. The situation in this battle, the Union controlled Washington, D.C. to the east of here, and the Union was trying to move west to get themselves in position to attack the Shenandoah Valley, and also to create a bigger buffer between the Confederates and Washington. When they managed to cross Bull Run and climb and take this hill, most of the Union thought they had won.
I'm going to a voiceover due to the wind. The Union probably would have won that day, except for the actions of a very famous Confederate general who was stationed over on Henry Hill, where we're looking right now. And that general earned a very famous nickname for the leadership he gave to his troops that day. And I'll tell you about that when we get over to Henry Hill.
We just crossed US 29 for the second and final time, and I'm zoomed in on another iconic landmark here at Manassas National Battlefield. That is known simply as the Stone House. It's located in the swale between Matthew Hill, which is where we just came from, and that's behind the house there, and Henry Hill, which we're climbing right now. That stone house was used in both of the battles, both the First and Second Battle of Manassas, as a hospital or medic ward, and it was used for both sides. That's a very historically significant structure right there. To finish the story I was telling you before, let me zoom back out here. The Union was able to capture Matthew Hill, where we were before. But over here on Henry Hill, the Confederates got some reinforcements. And that included a very famous leader named Thomas Jackson. And Thomas Jackson, he managed to rally the Confederates' troops and reorganize them. And even though the Union was able to take Matthew Hill, they were not able to take Henry Hill. And for the work, the leadership that Thomas Jackson did here, he earned his famous nickname, Stonewall Jackson. There's a lot of history here. There's also a lot of nice natural scenery here. The visitor center we started at is at the top of Henry Hill, and therefore we're almost back to the beginning and end of this hike. I do want to thank you for watching. Parking full time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. Also, as a reminder, I took a vow many years ago not to take any monetary compensation for anything that I do for this project, and I have stuck to that vow. And so the only thing that I get for doing these videos and writing these blog entries are your likes, your subscribes, your views, and your comments. And I do appreciate all of those things. So I'm going to close out this video from Manassas National Battlefield Park in Northern Virginia. I am Big Dave, the Parks Professor for Parking Full Time. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.